Hi everybody, my name is Danielle Nicole and welcome to Monetary Makeup. So as you can see, Michigan now has a little bit of sunshine starting to happen since we are nearing spring, and I'm super excited. So I don't know about you guys, but I have been on a new sunscreen kick. So Peter Thomas Roth recently dropped a new sunscreen called the Max Clear Invisible Priming Sunscreen Broad Spectrum SPF 45. Now, my understanding is that this sunscreen is supposed to be very helpful for those of us who wear makeup and basically work just like a primer. So I will get into all the details about this sunscreen, and I'm also going to be wearing it under makeup. That way we can see if it pills and just overall how it performs underneath makeup. So if you're excited to see how this sunscreen performs and you enjoy the video while you're watching, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and let's get started right now. So let me quickly read to you what is on this packaging and I'll do a swatch. So this is called the Max Clear Invisible Priming Sunscreen Broad Spectrum SPF 45. It is a clear gel, which I'm excited about since I have oily, dehydrated, acne-prone skin. It targets uneven texture and tone, dries like a blurring primer, marketed for all skin types. And on the back it says once again that it is clear. Invisible Gel has a silky primer-like finish with a blurring soft focus effect and targets uneven texture and tone. Invisible Sunscreen Gel provides broad spectrum SPF 45 UVA and UVB protection for all skin types and helps improve the look of uneven texture and tone with vitamin E, shea butter, and bisabolol. Delivers smoothing hydration and dries like a blurring primer, creating a translucent, soft focus finish for flawless makeup application. Reef safe, free of oxybenzone and oxynoxate. Now, in case you're new, I'm in my mid-30s and I have oily, dehydrated, acne-prone skin, and I personally find that gel-like textures work wonders on my skin. I believe this retails for $45. If I'm incorrect, I will put the price on the screen here, and you do get a standard 1.7 fluid ounces. Now, as far as the packaging goes, it's okay. It has that standard sunscreen squeezy tube here, and it has that kind of duochrome finish on it. So it's definitely pretty, but nothing fancy. So those are all the deets I have for you about this sunscreen. Next, let's get started with application. Now, my skin is completely barefaced right now. The only thing I have on is moisturizer, which I applied about 30 minutes ago. So I personally like to work in sections when I do my sunscreen. So I'm just going to squirt out a little bit here to get started with. So as you can see, it does definitely have a gel-like texture, and it does have a thick primer-like, almost silicone-like consistency. So it's not running down my skin. So I'm really excited to test out this sunscreen, particularly because I myself love gel textures. Now, one of my favorite sunscreens is the Tula Protect and Glow. Now, this gives a very luminous finish, and I find that because it has that similar gel texture, I really love it. Now, my skin is looking a little bit dewy right now because of that moisturizer. So let me get started with application and see if it takes down any of that dew. Now, this does not claim to have a matte finish, so I'm pretty excited to test out a sunscreen that has a primer consistency, and I would imagine if this is not drying, it will probably work for multiple different skin types. Now, the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is because this is a thicker texture, I'm wondering, one, that you are probably going to go through quite a bit of... Whoops. Now, it does have a traditional sunscreen scent to it. However, it is extremely light. It's hardly noticeable. Now, if you have ever used a silicone-like primer, it feels exactly like that. However, it does have a little bit thicker consistency to it. I hope the sunshine right there is not glaring you guys out. I apologize, but I do have one of those windows that are on the roof, so there's nothing I can really do to prevent the sunshine from coming through. But it has been almost like January or February in the sense that it has been like winter in Michigan, so I will take any sunshine I can get. So I am applying enough to actually cover the entire skin. I definitely want to be generous with my application to make sure I have enough coverage. This actually feels very nice on the skin. It really does have almost like a silky, velvety texture to it. So I'm quite enjoying the application process. All right, so I just finished the application and I was really generous with the amount I applied. I made sure to get it on the lids, underneath the eyes, pretty much across my entire skin. And I do have to say the blurring effect is very real with this sunscreen. I'm just taking a look at my pores and I feel like my skin looks so smooth. You guys are gonna have to let me know what it looks like on camera. Overall, I just feel like my skin looks very fresh, and I wouldn't say that it leans dewy, even though it does have a slight hydrating effect, but it's definitely not matte. So I can see those who have oily skin and also dry skin enjoying this product, at least so far. All right, I am so excited at how this is looking so far. So I'm gonna give this a couple of minutes to sink into the skin, and next we will move on to foundation. So for foundation today, I want to go in with the Tarte Shape Tape Cloud Coverage. Now this does have SPF 15, so not a ton, but it does have a little bit in it. And I do find this has a satin matte finish. So I'm really curious if the combination of these two are going to help control my oils or not. Now I use the shade 16B, which is Fair Light Beige. I wanted to go in with this foundation because even though it has a matte finish, it definitely has more of a satin matte finish. So what I mean is, even though it leans on the matte side, it doesn't suck the life out of your skin, or at least that's what I find. So this is definitely one of my favorite foundations, and I know how it works on my skin type. Sonia G Lotus Base Brush. Now I do want to start with a brush because I do find that certain sunscreens will start to pill, but more when you use a damp beauty sponge. So let's see how this foundation does over this sunscreen. This is one of my favorite foundation brushes. I am so excited that Sonia mentioned she is supposed to be restocking the Lotus brushes in July. So if you can get your hands on this base brush, I just love it because it's not your traditional paddle brush, and you can definitely work in a paddle motion, or you can go in circles and do a buffing motion. All right, the brush appeared to do fine, so next let's go in with a damp beauty sponge just to see if it starts to pill or not. I personally am a damp sponge person, so I just had to test it out. All right, it seems to be doing fine with a damp sponge as well as a brush, at least so far. And I'm going in with a light layer today. I don't really want a full coverage look. And I get quite a bit of redness kind of in my T-zone, so I'm just adding a little bit more real quick. And I always take my damp sponge when I use a brush and just go over it to press it in. You guys don't know how excited I am to see sunshine. In Michigan, where I live, it is pretty much dark, dreary, raining or snowing, gosh, 9 months out of the year, if not more. So as I mentioned, I'm sorry, I hope that's not reflecting off, but as far as me, I am so excited to finally see some sunshine. All right, you guys, so I just finished up the foundation application, and I did go in with my damp beauty sponge and just press in over the areas where I used the brush. All I have to say, this sunscreen looks beautiful. Now this Tarte foundation, it does have a slight blurring effect to the skin. However, it usually doesn't look this blurred. So if you look real close at my pores that I have, especially in my T-zone, this is looking so good. All right, well, I am so excited that this sunscreen does not have a matte finish. Now, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a time and place for matte primers, matte sunscreens, and all of that, especially if you're going to be working out or going to the beach, something like that. However, for me personally, when I have a sunscreen that I wear under makeup, even though I have oily skin, it also gets dehydrated. So a lot of matte primers can really emphasize those dry patches, and it can start to almost pill in those areas. This just looks absolutely beautiful. All right, well, we are off to a great start. Let's see how this sunscreen holds up throughout the day. I'm going to quickly finish up the rest of my makeup. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to go in with a setting powder or not, but I will definitely let you know if I decide to do that. So I will see you in a minute for the topic of the day, and then I will meet you back here at the end of the night for my final thoughts and a wear test. Welcome to the topic of the day. So first and foremost, I am by no means a student loan expert. However, I have been hearing a little bit of information here and there that I did want to talk about and bring you aware of today. So there was some talk last year and this year about Biden considering a student loan forgiveness program. Now, the issue with the student loan forgiveness program is that I have not been able to find any concrete information about this other than reading a few articles here and there. So from all of the research I have been doing, what it sounds like is there are 3.6 million borrowers that are expected to receive a total of $17 billion in federal student loan relief. So that's a lot of money and a lot of folks who could be receiving student loan forgiveness. Now, the deal is there are a lot of stipulations and a lot of qualifying factors that may or may not have you qualify for this forgiveness. So there's a ton of different stipulations, such as when you went to college, how much your student loan is, if you've been consistently paying on those loans, just overall many different factors. But what I will say is I do know someone personally who recently did receive student loan forgiveness, so I don't believe it's really hearsay anymore. Now, I've also heard two different strategies. The first being there is nothing you need to do to qualify for this federal loan forgiveness. And then I have heard another one say you do actually have to put in an application to find out if you qualify for this. So if you are one of the many of thousands of people that have student loan debt and you are interested in seeing if you qualify for the student loan forgiveness program, then I highly recommend reaching out to your loan service provider. And the loan provider should be able to let you know if you do need to submit an application or not. Now, while I can't guarantee your personal student loans would be forgiven, I do recommend reaching out to your own service loan provider just to see if it is something you would qualify for or not. Now, there's been a lot of talk and many different articles published about student loan forgiveness over the past 10 or 20 years or so, but in particular for 2022, it does sound like Biden did pass some sort of law that does possess the opportunity for student loan forgiveness in certain situations. So if you're curious if you qualify for student loan forgiveness, then I highly recommend reaching out to your loan service provider to find out. So that was my quick topic of the day. Next, let's move into the wear test and my final thoughts. I just wanted to bring you in up close real quick here just to show you what my skin is looking like at the end of the day. It has been a full 8 hours and today has been a super busy day. I've been running around doing a ton of different errands, so haven't been just sitting around by any means. So anyways, this is what my skin is looking like after a full 8 hours. So let me know what you guys think about this Peter Thomas Roth sunscreen. Now, I do have a pretty intense highlighter on. As you can see, it's actually a pressed pigment shadow palette from Unearthly Cosmetics, and this look will be up in the next video. So I have a lot of thoughts about this sunscreen. So when I purchase a sunscreen, there's a few different things I'm looking for. One is that it doesn't dry me out in the areas I am dehydrated. Two is that it doesn't make me excessively oily throughout the day. And three is that it sits well and does not pill under makeup. Unfortunately for this sunscreen, it didn't do any of those things. I feel like this is almost the perfect sunscreen for me, especially if I'm going to be wearing makeup, because as I just mentioned, it didn't dry me out in the areas that I get dehydrated. It didn't cause any sort of excess oiliness, and it looks beautiful under makeup. Not only did it not pill, but this sunscreen has such a beautiful, blurring, smoothing finish to it. Overall, I just can't say enough good things about it. Now, this primer does have a thicker, almost silicone-y consistency. So if you are not into that type of finish, then perhaps this sunscreen wouldn't be for you. You know, it's so rare to find a sunscreen that really meets all of the claims on the tube and actually sits beautifully under makeup. So this is a jackpot for me. I absolutely love it. So would I recommend this Peter Thomas Roth Max Clear Sunscreen? Absolutely, as long as you don't mind that silicone-y texture. I just think the way it blurred the skin and helped to keep my makeup on throughout the day, overall, highly recommend. Alright, well, I do hope you enjoyed the topic of the day as well as this sunscreen review. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. That way it can help spread to more people. I just want to thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye, guys!